we talk a lot about the ability to pitch and defend, and that should keep you in ball games. And then offensively, you have to figure out ways to, in some cases, produce, in other cases, manufacture power. However that happens, if you're pitching it and defending well, you'll find yourself in these games in a competitive situation with an opportunity to win. And that's what we did today. And JMU's they have a variety of arms. They've mixed and matched. They've done a nice job. And their hitters have been tough. Their guys hang in there. You see it. I mean, they've hung in there on some good off-speed pitches and hit them. And they handled Whittaker pretty good with his fastball, but Connor's a savvy guy, and he was able to do a nice job of finishing that thing out. I thought Baumeister was sharp out of the gate. The velocity was there. I thought he threw his fastball nicely away and powered it away and powered it through some hitters. So I was pleased with him. And then it's fun to see Colton Vincent, who I was in the cage in the fall, and he was hitting left hand. I'm like, Colt, what are you doing? He's like, well, Coach, I used to do that, and I got hurt and kind of never really got back into it. I said, well, that looks pretty good to me. Why don't you try it? And he liked it, so he kept doing it, and here we are today. And he had the hit up the middle that kind of got us going, and then the home run, I think, made it 2-1. And the guy's caught 18 innings in a short period of time. You're not really groomed for that. We don't do that in scrimmages because we have, 4 or 5 guys that can jump back there. But the way he played yesterday and today, clearly he impacted it, and we left him in there. So happy for him. Just a good ball game. Carry on some nice plays. The 6-5 was a good play, and obviously the way our guys handled the safety squeeze and got the out at the plate, I thought that was a momentum-changing type of moment. We didn't run it quite right, but we ran it right enough. So that was a big out.
Just what did you see from J-Bomb today in his start?
Well, he's an intense competitor out there. I'm still getting to know these guys a little bit in this setting. This setting is, as much as we try to replicate the game situation in practice, this is the first time I've seen him really compete against another team. He threw against us when we were here last year, but that's not in-house for me. I thought he did well, and he's still figuring out that curveball and slider combo and how to work them and use them. Thought he threw some decent changeups, not a ton, but some. And I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. He needs to go out there and have that kind of outing. I wish he hadn't gotten himself in a little trouble. Clearly, it seemed like there was a moment where we needed to make a maneuver there when I think he walked a guy and then hit a guy that was trying to bunt. So it seemed like that was enough. I wish there had been more, but I'm pleased with the progress, and he's seemed to evolve throughout his training and into these, his first outing here in the games.
Time he's hit up the middle is pretty
huge.
Shit, right?
Yeah, and he works so hard, and dang, he's so tough up there, and he needed that, and we needed that, because that game was still in the balance at that point. That was a good 2-strike at bat, and he pounds balls back through the middle. We see it every day at BP. Like, he's so strong, and that ball shot by the pitcher, but he hit it good, and he's going to compete. And then the base hit he had later, it's good. It's just kind of good to see him get rolling. And Tibbs, that 3-4 group, and whoever was 5, Carlson today, that group is going to come up with opportunities. And Tibbs, probably the 2 hardest hit balls of the day were the balls that he hit into that wind that was out of the northeast, which was not friendly. But once he gets going, that changes the authoritativeness of the middle of that lineup.
Have these first 2 games kind of been how you envisioned as far as using Crowell and just Connor coming out of the pen like that?
I felt like this was what we needed to do with a little bit of inexperience overall on the staff. I thought that was the way to construct it, to settle things down. And you could flip it, and maybe it would have worked had you started Whittaker or started Crowell and brought Montgomery or Baumeister in, I don't know. But you have 2 guys that are fairly experienced in that role, and it seemed like the logical thing to do, just to try to get out of the gate with so much newness around the pitching staff and the team. So those guys are very athletic, and they field their position, and they do so many things it makes it hard to really put big numbers on the board. That's why we did what we did.
Did you think about making the change in the 8th when you got into trouble?
I did. and we had Oxford ready, and we were at the point where if we'd gotten up to the lefty again with some trouble, then we would have gone to Oxford. But we thought we were at a part of that lineup where it matched up okay, and he was in the zone, and those guys, they took good swings, and I don't know exactly. You can see where I'm looking from. It's hard to tell, were those middle of the plate or did they just hit really tough pitches, but we thought we were still in a position to let him try to keep going, and you do have another game, so you're kind of looking at what sets you up tomorrow. And we had Oxford and Kirkland were basically ready to go, and Seth does a nice job down there helping manage the bullpen, and those guys were ready, but we just thought it was still in position for him to finish.
You said the other day that 75 pitches in practice is different than 75 out here. Did you feel like Jackson maybe expended himself a little bit in the first four?
Yeah, Baumeister, absolutely. That's why we felt like that was enough. Like, it just seemed very clear to us. And you're watching it just like we are. It just seemed like, okay, something has got him. Not a health thing, just maybe, when's the last time he's done something like that? Has he ever? You guys, I don't know. He started, what, 2 games maybe last year, and I don't know how far it went. So this is different, and the build-up to a start and the preparation for the start, it may be a little more taxing than all of a sudden trying to get ready to go in relief. So we're conscious of that, and we want to make sure we use them properly and then give the guys down there the opportunity to fill the role that we expected them to with the game in check.
Yeah. Apologies if you've already spoken on this, but it was a really quick first 3 innings. Did you feel like the guys were pressing a little bit, trying to capitalize on the same success that they were having played the previous night, or was that just kind of one of those, that's how baseball works, quick 3 innings?
Well, I mean, you have the wind was blowing straight in at 15 miles an hour, and there were some balls that were hit pretty good that you had really not much to show for it. So I wasn't overly concerned with that. I know they know what they're doing, and they study JMU, and I think their pitchers are competitive, and there's a variety of different arm slots. We clearly have to be better offensively. We do. And once we get that middle of the lineup, I think Diamez, it's hard for him to do what he did 2 nights in a row, but I think he's kind of grasping that table-setting role. And I think when the middle gets going, especially those guys in the first inning that can maybe give us better at-bats out of the middle, we won't have the same feeling you spoke on today. And I know what you mean. It went quick, and there was not much going on. But when you can match it with your own pitching and defense, you give yourself a shot.
Likewise, the bottom of the order really was what was the catalyst for you today. Obviously, I'm sure you've probably spoken on Colton's home run, which was the first of his career, a big moment for him.
Yeah, and the base hit early in the game that kind of put us at second and third. I think their center fielder came in and overplayed a little bit, but that was big. Following Nander's bunt, they played the shift, and Nander bunted into it and got it going. And Colton had a good day. He did. And Jaime's hit, I thought, was the moment that kind of punched it through for us.
In the 5th inning, after Whittaker entered and threw a wild pitch, JMU really showed that they were really willing to play small ball and keep going on the safety squeeze. And you said you wish it had been done a little bit better, but how confident do you feel seeing your bunt defense hold up for the most part?
I love it. And those parts of the college game show up often, and that team runs the bases. You saw it last night and today a little bit. I mean, they didn't have as many opportunities on the dirt ball stuff to run, but they bunt, and they're good at it, and it's hard to defend. Like, when you bunt those balls in those situations, it's hard to forget the lead out. Sometimes it's hard to get an out. And you look at the bunted balls in the series, like their side and our side, it's impacted the outcome of the games. So it was nice. Some of these things are a little more complicated than I would have thought, like getting into this coaching stuff, like to get everybody to understand when and where to be. We did a pretty good job, and today that was a key moment when Tibbs flipped that thing to the catcher. You don't see that very often, and it was nice to see them at least take what we've worked on and get an opportunity to apply it and have it play out.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.